Hello, friends. Welcome back to Trade Show University. Really excited to have you back here today. It's going to be talking about a topic that we have not talked about before, and that is photography in your business, in your trade shows, preparing for trade shows, and having a photographer right at your trade show. And I brought on someone who is just going to help us go through all of this and someone who's been doing this for a while and is just fantastic. I am just such a big fan of her work, and that is LeShayne Maddex. And LeShayne, welcome to Trade Show University. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
So my name is LeShayne and I live in the Tampa Bay area. I live with my husband. We are actually newlyweds, not quite a year. And so I have two grown children who are in college in Tampa, and I have two bonus daughters in high school. And so they live part-time with us. We also have a crazy, crazy dog who hopefully will not interrupt this, but I have been a photographer for about 10 years full time, but I've always been the girl with the camera. So even back in high school, I always had a camera on me, was always making my friends pose for pictures. I'm sure I'm very annoying sometimes, but my life has been well documented and I do love that. So yeah, that's the basics. I love to travel. So the trade shows and events and that kind of thing that let me leave Florida occasionally are always a bonus. So it's a little
Nice.
bit about me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So Florida is one of my favorite places to go, and photography. I've always been a photo bug myself. I remember I was gifted with a Canon camera way back in the day. Oh my gosh, long, long time ago, back when I was a teenager, and just fell in love with that. And I understand and I love when I see good quality photography and when it's used properly. So I'm hoping we're going to get into some of that today. And let's talk about trade shows. Of course, that's why why we're here. That's what I love to do. Let's talk about hiring a photographer to be on site there at a trade show. What would a photographer actually do at a trade show? What would their value be to the show or to the exhibitor?
So I think that there's a couple options, honestly. So as the person putting on the trade show, as someone hosting, it's a great value add for you to hire someone that is capturing those booths because then those exhibitors are walking away with a beautiful, high quality picture of their booth that they're going to show other people like, hey, I was at this amazing trade show. I got this great picture. So it's a great way for them to give their exhibitors these pictures and as an exhibitor to get those pictures of your booth. Like so often we take a quick, iPhone shot of your exhibition, but it's nice to have for other marketing materials and to join other exhibitions. And then it's also just great for marketing, right? Good pictures are always good for good marketing. And so whether you are, your trade show is the yearly thing, whether you're looking for new exhibitors or vendors or even new attendees, I feel like it's great to have those things for marketing materials. So
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, to use good quality pictures in your marketing just helps you level up a little bit against your competitors who might not be doing that, who might just be pulling out their cell phones and I know these phones take great pictures these days, but it's not the same as working with a photographer who knows the right angles, knows the right lighting, knows all of that. So when you're dealing at a show like that, what would be the best thing that you would recommend to a show planner as to how to use you? Where would your focus, no pun intended, where would your focus be or should be on the show floor to bring maximum value?
well, I love a good pun, so I would run with it. But I think that it just depends a lot on how you're planning to use the photos. If you are using them for your own marketing as a show planner, then the best way is just for me to kind of be on site. Usually, what I do is just walk around. I catch speakers, I catch events, I catch registration, I catch swag bags, all the details. And then, so here at home, I work with a lot of businesses doing personal branding. I think, the world changed in 2020 in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. I know that the expos changed a lot and had a rough couple years there. But one of the things that I think people have realized is how much your digital marketing is just as important as your brick and mortar. And so having, we call them posed candids. It's a little oxymoronic, but that idea of like shaking a customer's hand or showing off a product, like you're probably not going to stand at your booth like Vanna White, right? That's not how most people, but kind of showcasing some of your products so that we do get good pictures for the vendors as well, right? If you're a vendor and you've worked hard and you've spent a lot of money and you've, flown across the country and you're giving up time away from your family to be at these expos marketing, you want to have those images showing what you're doing and doing it well there. So
Yeah, I think like you said, the value add for the exhibitors, for the sponsors, for the speakers to be able to have those photos. And I would say not just for your own use as the show planner, but also offer those. This is my suggestion.
absolutely.
Offer those back to the exhibitors and the speakers for their own use. There's so many shows that I've worked, and there is a photographer that comes around, and then we never ever see those pictures unless maybe they show up on the show planner's website, and they're promoting the show. But offering those, I love that idea, offering those back as a value add to the exhibitors. Here's all the pictures that you were in of your booth and when you were attending that breakout session, and things like that. I think would be a tremendous nice value add to the exhibitors, and then they can use that. And every time you get something that you're not expecting, I'm thinking great things about that show now. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's just
everybody loves
awesome.
free stuff.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think to your
yes.
point too, when you're hiring a photographer for something like that, that's a great question to ask them, right? So I know for me, when I am hired by a show or an expo, I provide an online link so that they can send it out to all of their attendees. I don't ask for that list. I know that those are very, coveted and you don't want your information spread out everywhere, but they are given a link that they can download those pictures. So they also have the option to download any picture that they're in, whether it's of their booth, whether, like you said, they're attending a seminar, they were a speaker, so that all of those people have access to those images so that they do, in fact, get that free stuff. So it's a great question to ask when you're hiring someone, not only what are you going to be taking pictures of, but how will we be able to disperse those pictures?
Outstanding. So, do you ever get hired by individual exhibitors to come to the show, or is that something that you have worked with show planners and they offer that service to exhibitors?
So for the most part, I have been hired by the show planner. I have been to a couple expos, and some of these are very specific to the show or the type of business. But I did, for example, I did an expo that was all based on like legal things, so paperwork, different software, that kind of thing. And so one of them actually brought me in, one of the exhibitors brought me in so that they could offer free headshots. So they're I don't know, instead of giving out a tchotchke, right? Instead of giving out the keychain or the thing that maybe with their logo on it, they actually were offering free headshots to other attendees. And so I know that was a great way for them to kind of get their name out there, to reconnect with the people that came to their exhibit the day of. It was a great way for them to reach out and say, hey, we have this headshot for you and we'd love to talk. So
I love that idea. It's phenomenal. I've been a recipient. My last headshot was at a trade show where the booth, a couple booths down, they had a professional come in and they had the lighting and the backdrops and all that, and it was outstanding. I'm like, this is something I would have paid good money for, and I just never take the time to do it. But now I'm here. That is it's a wonderful giveaway item that I think a lot of people just don't think about.
yeah.
So there's an idea for everybody, especially now. How far do you go? So if someone was interested in that service, how far do you go to provide something like that? Is just the Tampa area or beyond?
Nope. I everything is negotiable. Like I said, I love to go places. So I definitely have, discounted conference rates if then the travel is covered. So I don't really have a limit. I am kind of in the like empty nesting phase of my life, which makes really a lot of freedom in life, which is kind of lovely. So yeah.
Nice. I
So I
share
don't
the
really have a geographical limit to that.
Okay, well, that's good to know for hopefully for all the listeners. It's
Yeah,
good, or the viewers. Since my YouTube channel is fairly new, I'm still after just podcasting for over 4 years. It's been an adjustment, but I love video. I love being able to have people see the guest and to connect with people in a different way. So
absolutely.
for anyone who's watching or listening who's thinking about this, and this is something that you could you do this if you also were hired from the show to do that? Could you also like do double
Yeah.
duty and work at a booth doing headshots and things?
Yeah. So it's usually just, I've actually had one show where that was the case, and it really just worked out. We had to work together to create a schedule so that there was times where those headshots were open at the booth, but then there was other times during those open expo hours that the headshot booth was closed so that I could get some pictures for the actual expo itself. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about for the exhibitors, maybe sponsors that are looking to prepare for a trade show and they want to update their booth graphics, their literature, and they want to have a professional, maybe for a change, come in and do
Yep.
the product shots or do people shots, things like that. What tips would you give to companies, and how far in advance would you say would be important to start working with a photographer?
Well, first of all, I think we all, the age old cliche, right? Like a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I think when you show something and you show it well, it does more than maybe some words trying to describe something. So having those good quality pictures on your marketing materials, on your booth, I think that's huge. And I think that we live in a culture that really values authenticity, right? Like, we want people to not just be what they do, but why do they do it? And how are they doing it? And like, what is that company's ethics and, their statements of like value look like? And so I think that instead of using stock photos for all of that stuff, having pictures of your team and your location and your product is so important in this day and age. And so I think that having somebody take those pictures for you, that then, we've all been to a lot of trade shows and they blow those things up. And if you have a bad picture, it's a bad picture. As soon as it's, on an 8 foot wall behind you, you took it on your cell phone, right? So
Yeah.
it's great to have those quality photos for those things. As far as timing goes, a lot of it is just like print production. So my turnover time is usually pretty fast. Obviously, if I'm traveling somewhere, I have to build in time to travel. But in general, for a lot of my like this here in Florida clients, I shoot, they get their portfolio of pictures within a week. And then it's just a matter of however long it takes for those products to get printed. So,
Awesome. I love how you talked about using stock photos because I see that all the time, not just in marketing materials and on websites. And there's some that you just know, oh, that is a stock photo because so many of them look the same. And everyone's dressed very similar. It's all white background and they're wearing dark suits. And it's like, wait, no, that's not you. It's like, I know your company. There's nobody at your company that looks like that. And so there's some things that are very, very obvious. And when you're using that, and like you said, we finally take some of our own pictures and we blow them up and they get super grainy. And it's like, and now it's like, we finally get the display pieces and we don't have enough time to redo them. And so people end up using the same things from last year because the new ones didn't come out like they had hoped they would. And oh my gosh,
yeah.
there's so many pitfalls for not doing things right, not spending the money and not hiring the professional to come in and guide you with the right equipment, the right technology, everything, and especially the expertise that they bring. Because as I tell people all the time, you don't know what you don't know. And we all think we can take a picture, and we see the commercials about the amazing pictures that our phones can take and our videos and all that. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to be very noticeable if you took that picture with your cell phone versus having a photographer come in and really do a professional photo shoot of your team, of your products, and to get to the show. That's one thing to get a picture of your booth using your cell phone. It's another one getting a picture of your booth that's professionally done, it just jumps off the page or jumps out at you with how vibrant it is and everything. So it's just such an important point there. Thank you so much for for that. Any other tips that you would say if someone is planning or thinking about what would be some tips for considering a photographer, or some tips for the listeners?
So I would always tell people, it's like anything else, the more you plan ahead, the more options you have, right? So just like when you're building that trade show booth, if you need a trade show booth next week, your options are limited. You're gonna have to get whatever they can get you
Yeah.
quickly. But if you have 6 months to plan, you've got some great options. So the same is true with the photographer. If you are looking for someone, do the research, like find out who's in your area, what they're offering, if they've done this before, how they're going to deliver those pictures to you. So are they going to be those high resolution? Are they going to give you a print release? I think that's really important, or a copyright release. So that is often point of conjecture in my trade, that everybody's like they want a copyright. Realistically, you're going to pay a lot of money for a copyright. But if you get a commercial print release, you can use those pictures however you want. You just can't edit them or get paid for them. So you can't sell them as stock photos. And that is something that is good to know ahead of time. Is your company going to want to change those images? And then you do need to purchase a copyright. And is that photographer going to allow that? Because you don't want to ask those questions on the back half when you have a bunch of pictures you can't use the way you want to use them. So all of those are great questions to ask ahead of time, and to just do some research. Always ask for, I think we all do this. Just like when you go to a trade show, you're going to highlight the best of your company, right? But ask the questions about the other things. If you're hiring a photographer, say, hey, could I see a gallery of a trade show you've done? Could I see some other booth pictures that you've taken? Could I see some pictures you've done for marketing materials? Yeah, so that it's not just what you see on their website that's the best and the brightest, right? I
Yeah.
think those are all good places to start.
Oh, those, you've given everyone a lot of great questions to ask, and I think that is so important to ask. Show me a pictures of you of a trade show you've done in the past, because if you've done trade shows, anyone that's listening, you know about trade shows, unless you're brand new to this, and if you are, welcome. The people that have been around trade shows, there's very, very specific things that happen at trade shows, and you threw out one little word that it makes me know that you know about trade shows. That was just the picture of a swag bag. Oh, that is something that is very trade show specific, very event specific. So if people don't know that, they're not going to think to take pictures of that. They're not going to think to highlight the lanyards or the sponsors in special ways versus the different vendors and things like that. So make sure someone knows what they're doing when they're coming to take pictures of your show. Very, very important there. And a lot of
Absolutely.
great questions from a legal standpoint. You don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want to be sued because someone used pictures, or you used pictures that were taken and you used them inappropriately. So make sure you're asking the right questions and you get the right releases and all of that. That LeShayne is, you may want to rewind that and listen to that part again to make sure that you are covered. And I'm sure just to reach out to her if you have any questions regarding that. So as we wrap up here, any big takeaways that you want people to leave with from our conversation today?
I think we live in such a DIY society, right? There's Pinterest and there's TikTok. And the day that goes by that my kids don't send me, Mom, I think we could do this from TikTok, is a good day. Honestly, it's a good day. But I think that we get in such a DIY mode, and I'm guilty of it too, right? But I think that sometimes, you're not going to just be like, man, my roof is leaking today. I think I'm going to run up there and patch it. It's a terrible idea. And I think when it comes to something like a trade show, it's a big investment, right? It's a time investment to be there. It's a monetary investment to have the booth, but as well as whatever you're giving away and all those things. So make the investment, like have the investment to have the good pictures, to not just take them. So I think it's that, like, yeah, we can DIY a lot of things, but maybe you DIY your manicure and not your professional photos.
I love that. Don't DIY, get the professional in, because like I said, you don't know what you don't know, and your results will suffer, or they'll be better depending on the choices that you make. LeShayne, thanks so much. You shared so much great wisdom here from your years of experience. Tell people how they can get in touch with you. What's the best way?
Yeah, so I have a website. It is so tbheadshots.com. There's an inquiry form there. Otherwise, my email, my phone number, all of that is on there. And I'm always open to a conversation. Like I said, I have no geographical boundaries. It's always just a timing thing. So, but I joke about it now, but I worked in mental health for a very long time as a therapist. And so I just love meeting new people and hearing new stories. So even if it doesn't pan out, I love having a new conversation with a new person. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. I'll make sure to drop all of the contact information into our show notes. So please to check that out. Connect with LeShayne. And LeShayne, you have a special offer for the viewers or listeners today?
I do. Yeah. If you mention this podcast, you get 10% off. So whether that looks like a group headshots in your office or personal branding so that you can kind of upgrade your marketing materials, or if you have a trade show coming up and need some professional photos there, 10% off.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So take her up on that offer and reach out. You know from listening today that she knows what she's talking about. She is a trade show pro and she can go anywhere. So please reach out and connect with LeShayne. LeShayne, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thanks again for having me.
It's my
Have a good one.
pleasure. And everyone, continue to come back here. If you found value today, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those things I've always wanted to say. And now finally could say it. And subscribe to the podcast also. We've got hundreds of episodes on all different topics, but hopefully you've got great value today. And share this out with others. And we'll see you next time back here on campus at Trade Show University.